Okay guys, hello, welcome back to the channel. And the first part in I plan on doing, if I can, like a build series almost of the new Airfix Shannon class lifeboat in 72nd scale. So before I sort of talk about what I plan to do with it, let's go down to the bench. Let's have a look at what we've got, how we're gonna do things. And then once we've had a look, I'll come back and explain what I intend to do with the kit, and how I'm going to try and do something a bit more involved and a bit different to the starter set out of the box. So I'll see you in a minute. So we are down at the bench with the new Airfix, well, newish now. It's been out for a little while now. Shannon class lifeboat in 1/72 scale. So the box art is awesome, isn't it? This boat crashing through the waves, sort of on a rescue, I would imagine, in stormy seas. Clearly at night, it's very dark. And then what we have here is an image of the completed model on its stand that I believe comes in the kit. So that's the box itself. Again, we've got the box art on the side, with also what we get is 2 paintbrushes, some paints, and some horrible poly cement tube glue, which we won't be using. But the kit number for those that are interested is A55015. Tells us at the top of the box here that we get the paints and the glue and everything else. And bear in mind, this is a starter set. So we have to manage our expectations a little bit on what we're going to get in the box. If we turn to the rear of the box, there are color callouts, and this is obviously for the one that's on the box, which is 1301, which I believe is part of their relief fleet, so to speak. We're not going to be building that one. And it's based at the RNLI in the UK as of 2023, so last year. And obviously it's calling out for the paints that come in the kit. It's also telling us the length is 190 millimeters, 63 millimeters wide, and 54 pieces in total. But we're going to try and do something a bit different with it. So let's have a quick look inside the box. There are videos on YouTube now, unboxing videos, so I'm not going to do like a full unboxing and looking at every sprue and all that, because there's people that have already done it and probably done it way better than I could. So in the box we have side opening box. It is what it is. But we do have, so we have the paints and poly cement, and we'll put those to one side because we won't be using those. We have instructions with a decal sheet and a sort of idiot's guide again. We don't need that. And then we have in here the decal sheet. So we'll put those over there for now. All in one bag, which is interesting. We've got some more paints here, so we get 2 sets of paints. We get 2 Humbrol brushes, and they're okay for sort of weathering and that sort of stuff, so we'll keep those. And then we just have this big massive bag with all the sprues in it, which, you know, it's a constant source of complaint, isn't it, that we get one bag with all the sprues bundled in together, shipped from India, then shipped to your house, etc, etc, and chances are they're all rattling around in the back of the van, and chances are something will get damaged. So what they have done, as I say, we're not going to show all of the sprues because it's been done countless times now on YouTube. So we have all the railings and stuff. A quick cursory look, to be honest, looks like they're all intact, which is amazing really. I'm sure we'll probably get some warpage of some sort, but they all look fairly together. Clear parts are bagged separately. Apparently there's an issue with these that I'll talk about in a bit. The hull halves are there, and then the cab itself. And this is the bit we're interested really, and also interested in the actual deck itself, which is there. So let me turn that light round so we're not going to get the reflection off the shiny box now. Hopefully we can see this a bit better. So what they have done is they've kind of gone back to very old technology where they don't put the frame around the sprue. So essentially this makes this a tree, not a sprue, because we haven't got this surround. And apparently, so I'm told, that this is because it's so that people can twist. Bear in mind this is a starter set. They can twist these pieces off easier without the frame around the sprue. To me, yeah, I think really you should have the frame around the sprue to, you know, offer an element of protection to these parts, stop them breaking off, getting damaged, etc. But hey ho, it is what it is. So this is the bit that we're interested in first. So this is the deck of the boat with the seats as the interior. Now, a Shannon class has 6 crew, so obviously we would expect 6 seats. We have some very minor sort of details of these screens, etc. But what we don't have, if we look at the reference pictures that I'm showing now, then we don't have any sort of detail at all. Center consoles, grab rails, nothing at all. It's just blank. Now, as a starter set, fine, you get away with that. We're going to try and detail this a little bit. We're going to put some proper screens in. We're going to add some seat belts. We're going to put some center console in. We're going to have a grab rail. You know, we're going to try anyway. That's the plan, using plastic card and all that sort of stuff, and try and make this a bit more interesting. Now, the reality is that once the cab's in place, because of the lack of light, and that should just glue into place on there, but as we'll see as the build progresses, apparently there are some fairly significant issues with this, where what people have done is they've cut these locating points off the side and just use the front and rear, because otherwise you end up with a bit of a gap that's quite difficult to deal with. So we'll address that when the time comes, really. But it should just sort of push into place. And as a starter set, straight away we're looking a bit like a Shannon, aren't we? So we can see that, but there's very little detail inside, even though you're not really going to see it because of the shadow that's created. Now, I did toy with the idea of having some LEDs inside of here lighting this up, and also these things on the front here that you can see sticking out from the cab. They're lights, so maybe I could have lit those. However, I'm not a fan of lit models as a rule. I think they can end up looking very toy-like, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do the interior. You guys will see it on the video, and hopefully it's the old adage, we know it's there. And it's not going to be very, you know, completely accurate. I'm not going to that level, but I am just going to add a bit of sort of visual interest into the interior. That's the plan. So that's the kit. As I say, I'm not going to do a full sort of unboxing look at the kit. Decals, these are cartographs, so we would expect them to be, you know, pretty good. Now, the decals we're going to use is very few of these. We might use some of these screen details, the Lifeboat logos, etc. And these stripes here we may use or paint them, I'm not sure. We shall see how we get on with that, because what Airfix also sell as aftermarket is this decal sheet. I think it's about $9.99, but in here, so in this envelope, what we have is a list of all the Shannon class lifeboats in current service around the country. And then what you have is inside you have a nice decal sheet which enables you to build whichever lifeboat. So if you've got a local lifeboat or whatever, you can build that one. Somewhere that you go on holiday a lot, etc, etc. So you get these for an extra $9.99. So the one I'm going to be building is Salzy. Well, that's the one I want to build, which is here. So the boat itself is called Denise and Eric, and it's 13-20. Now the 13, I believe, depicts the length of the actual lifeboat, and the 20 denotes which particular lifeboat it is, this one being Salzy. So each one will have slightly different coloured deck, slightly different colour hull, etc, etc. So we'll have some reference pictures. We'll collect some of those to see the differences between the Salzy lifeboat and 1301, which is part of the RNLI relief fleet, which will be based in Poole, I would imagine. So that's what I'm going to do. The reason I picked Salzy is because Salzy is a place I visited quite a lot during my initial army service. So it's got a bit of a fond memory for me, really, Salzy. So the instructions themselves, booklet type, tells us we can build the stand, which is included. We're not going to use that. And then we're putting the hull together. And then what it's telling, typical Airfix, good instructions. Then what it's telling us to do, once the hull's together, is attach a deck. I don't think we're going to do it in that order, personally. I think what we're going to do is build the deck, the interior, get all that painted, perhaps with the exception of this barrier around the edge, and then mate it to the hull before attach the cab first, is what I'm saying, to the deck, before we mount the deck to the hull. I think that might be the way to go because of some of the issues that I've seen others have so far. Obviously we've got one clear part, it should click into place. What does happen though, or on my particular kit, is the windows at the rear kind of sit in this sort of angle. So speaking to Nigel from Nigel's modelling bench earlier in the week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these so that the rear windows and the front windows are separate, which should alleviate the issue of getting them in and getting them flush with the cab. And then it's telling us, I've already mentioned, we're going to cut these bits off so that we get a nice flush fit with the cab. And then bits and bobs on the hull, attaching all the railings, etc, etc. I'm not going to go all the way through the instructions, assembling the mast, radar, all that sort of stuff. I'm not going to go all the way through them because it's been done now on YouTube. And then eventually you put it onto its base and you end up with this, which we're not going to do. The plan is with this is to construct it in a C base, which is something I've never done before. So that will be the plan, and we'll talk about that in a minute and the plans with it. But that's the kit itself. So what I'm going to do, if anyone needs any decals that's watching, that's not for the Salzy lifeboat but for other types, then let me know. And I can send you the relevant decals, because I'm not going to use these other than the Salzy ones. So basically I'm going to use the 2.0 and the name. Everything else is going to be out the kit. So let me know, and if you need the decals, then I can certainly send you them. So as I said, we're going to put this on a C base. It's not really a diorama, it's just a way of displaying it. So with that in mind, it's not going to go to sea without a crew. So I have ordered from eBay some 3D printed 72nd scale lifeboat crew. So you get 10 figures. They're very, very well detailed, really, really nice. We're not going to use all 10, obviously, because we've only got a crew of 6. So we'll pick 6 that are the most appropriate poses, etc. And we will use those, and we will get those. Probably 1 or 2, there's 2 seated, so we'll probably have those at the front of the interior, and then we'll pick another 4 for the exterior on the boat, to give it some life. And that's the plan really. So that's it, guys, for this video. I'll go back, face the camera, and reiterate sort of my plans with the build, and then we'll go from there. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so they're the bits that we've got. What I didn't mention, which I forgot to mention, I've also ordered some photo etch windscreen wipers in 72nd scale, because you don't get any in the kit. And if you look at the real thing, there's windscreen wipers. I don't know why I'm doing that with my hands, but there's windscreen wipers on the front, which would make complete sense on the windshield or windscreen of the boat, because obviously it's going to get water on it, so they need to clear that away. So the plan will be is I'm going to try and scratch build an interior that fits once the cab's on top. Bit more detail than is providing the kits, things like seat harnesses, center console, grab rails, that sort of stuff, and we'll see how we get on with that. I'm going to attempt to build the Salzy lifeboat. So there are some changes from reference picture I've seen with the color of the deck, color of the hull, etc. There are very subtle changes, almost. So we're going to try and replicate that, and then what I'm going to try and do is use some crew figures on it and put it into like a sea diorama stroke vignette base, which should sort of put it in its home. You know, these things are out saving lives at sea, so there's no point in me putting it on a stand. I want to put it where it belongs, which is in the sea. How I'm going to do that, I'm not sure yet. It's going to be a bit of test and adjust, but you guys are going to be with me hopefully along the way. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell, and then when I release a video in relation to this or anything else, you're going to get notified, so you'll be able to see this build right from it is now, which is a load of grey plastic and some resin printed figures and some photo etch window wipers, progress all the way through. For the base, we're going to use things like XPS foam, we're going to be using acrylic gloss gel and all that sort of stuff, and hopefully we can get it to an acceptable level where it kind of looks a bit different to what everyone else is doing. That's the plan. Also, with the interior, we're not going to see a lot of that once the boat's together, so the video is kind of archiving the work that's going to go into the interior, and hopefully it's going to look a bit better than it does currently. I have to say, it's a starter set. It's less than £20. I think you can get it for like £17.99 now, depending on where you look. It's a starter set from Airfix. So once we start putting it together, we'll see whether we think it's suitable for new modelers. That starter set should be, but we have to manage our expectations. We're not going to get super detail and full interiors and all that sort of stuff on something that's less than £20 here in the UK and is designed as a starter set. We're just not going to get that. So you can build it out of the box. I'm sure you're going to end up with a lovely looking model at the end of it. Or if that sort of thing is going to bother you, the fact there's no interior, there's no seat harnesses, there's no crew, then do what I'm going to do and do it yourself. Because the kit is affordable, so it allows you to spend a bit of money and try and create something a bit more detailed, shall we say. So anyway, that's it. As I've said, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then you'll get notified about as and when these videos get released in relation to the lifeboat. And there's loads and loads of stuff on the channel for you to have a look at as well. So until next time, guys, stay safe, happy hobbying. Bye bye.